Hello, how are you doing? It is Tuesday. It's actually 8:30 this week. We're a little bit later starting today, but it doesn't matter because it's going to be a great show. We've got a lot to talk about, obviously, as always, with Arsenal. This is the Tuesday Club. Hello, I'm Richard. Welcome back to my channel over and over again for this week's Tuesday Club. So lots to talk about, as there always is with Arsenal. Of course, we are building up to the start of the new season on Friday. So we'll be talking about that. We'll be looking back on the Tottenham game, of course, at the weekend. Another disappointing defeat for Arsenal, although the women maybe helped cheer us up slightly. So we'll discuss that as well. We're going to go back in time as well as we always do. Tonight, we're going to be looking at the 1996-97 season, which started with the club in a little bit of a mess with no manager, etc. So lots to talk about on that as well. And of course, we can't do it on our own. So I'm going to be joined by the usual panel. So again, Dawes unavailable. He's moving house at the moment, but I'm sure he'll be back very soon. So we've got Melvin, of course, as always. How you doing, Melvin? You okay?
Yeah, fine, thanks. Okay. Only a few days to go. Can't quite believe it. We're coming up to it.
We are. We're nearly there. We're nearly there. And of course, Adam as well in his lovely away kit. I mean, we've both got an old away kit on today, which is nice. So your one's very nice as well.
Exactly. I thought they released a third kit, which I think was supposed to be in homage to this one. So I thought I'd put this one on today. But I quite like this one actually from the 90s. I like the old badge.
Yeah.
I like the old badge.
Yeah,
so,
I've got that one somewhere actually. Yeah, it's a nice top. And also as well, funnily enough, I mean the away top I'm wearing and the away top you're wearing both kind of coincided with seasons that weren't necessarily that great, were they? From what I remember, they weren't sort of successful seasons for the club. Yeah. So nice kits maybe equal a bad season, perhaps. Let's hope that's not the case this season because we've got a couple of nice kits.
I'd be happy the other way around. Yeah, I'd be happy the other way around. I'd be happy. Melvin's mentioned it before. I'd be happy to wear big ugly kits and be successful. So.
Exactly. It's more important what happens on the pitch, not what they look like. But anyway, that's maybe for another day. But yeah, so obviously there's only really one place we can start, unfortunately, and it has to be this. Another pre-season defeat to one of our London rivals. Obviously, this one hurts a little bit more, obviously being that lot. Did you get to watch the game, Melv? I know you got a lot going on at the moment. Did you see any of it?
Yeah, I did. I saw the whole game actually. I mean, sitting there, I could have gone out of the room, come back, and thought, it's exactly the thing away at Spurs the last few seasons. All the ball, not necessarily in the dangerous positions, get up to the edge of their area, and then their defender's going to have a cigarette because we ain't going to do nothing. So it's really the same. It's every time. And also, even though the second half we weren't as good as the first, I thought the first we pressed them quite well. You just knew that they were going to nick a goal. Even if they never got the ball past the halfway line, which they did, you knew what was going to happen. You'd seen it before. You've read the script. You've seen the film. You bought the book. And it's basically, when's it going to happen? And it did happen. And it was a mistake as well. We gave them the goal. He took it well, son, don't get me wrong, but he should never have been able to get that ball. He should never have been able to. The geezer who gave him the pass should never had the ball to give him the pass. Pepe messing around in his own edge box again.
Yeah.
I'm not interested. Kick it into Rose head, mate. Just you're not there to defend. You're not a defender. You weren't under pressure to try and drip. I can argue with you. Just do that, because the risk reward. We've spoken about this so many times. The risk reward naturally as a footballer. There's some bright sparks to the midfield. He looks big. He seemed to be playing it a little bit by himself, really, because they kept giving him the ball when he shouldn't have had it. He was covered by one or two other their Spurs players, and he got himself out of it once he gave the ball away first half when he was under pressure. But apart from that, I thought we'd done terrific. He was looking, he can kick it with both feet, done a lovely left-footed pass on, might have been a 30-40 yard one, naturally with his left foot, which I thought was good. Didn't look to shuffle it back on his right foot and turn the other way, kept the play moving. Yeah, he was a bright thing, right spot for our team as well. Apart from that, it was usual suspect time, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I mean, I sort of blame Arteta for the goal, because he's encouraging the players to play out from the back, and they're going to make mistakes. And unfortunately, we're making mistakes nearly every game and getting punished. And it's something that's got to come down to the coaching. He's got to say, don't do it there. Don't play in the dangerous areas, because it's costing us too many times. I mean, what did you make of it, Adam? I mean, it was so disappointing for me, because we did play quite well at times. Again, we played some good spells in the game, as we did against Chelsea, but we just never looked like we're going to score, do we? We're not a threat going forward, are we, at all?
No, and like Melvin said, it was complete deja vu. It could have been any game from last season, and especially it was just like Spurs away last year when they got those 2 goals on the break. But I mean, I am trying to be positive, and I'm trying to rationalise things by saying it is a pre-season game, but it's still Spurs. You would have still hoped to have got a performance, and the result against them could have really given us a massive lift going into the start of the season. But yeah, I felt. I was looking at the lineup thinking it could be very similar to what we're going to see against Brentford. I mean, I'm hoping it won't. I'm hoping there will be some changes. But, it was disappointing. I mean, I think that there was positives. Like, I thought, again, Lokonga, I thought was pretty good first half. I thought White done pretty well. We looked good in possession. Unfortunately, Pablo Mari let him down a little bit on the left-hand side. I thought he had a bit of a stinker. But like you said, going forward, like they restricted us to long shots. Yeah, we hit the post. Lacazette had a couple of long shots, but I don't really remember us until the second half when kind of Smith Rowe kind of got a little bit more incisive. We couldn't get into their box, and we were restricted for long shots, and that's still the issue from last season. We're not creating enough, and we've got a striker like Aubameyang who needs that service. Like he's not a player who's been known to create his own chances like Henry would in the past. He strives on service, and he needs that. So yeah, he's not had a good time, but he's not been getting that service as well. And it's very much like last year, and it is frustrating. There was some bright sparks, and I'm trying to take those out of it. We mentioned last week we would have liked to see Lokonga start the game, and he did, and I thought he acquitted himself very, very well. And I'm a lot more confident with him now than I was before the game. And it is a shame that we did have the better of the first half. I know Dele Alli at the post for them, and they had chances all, but I did think we shaded it in the first half. The second half, we just didn't push on. And obviously, friendly when you do the subs, the continuity all goes. But yeah, I couldn't help but be disappointed. I've got a bit of a sour taste in the mouth.
I mean, what I noticed a little bit was, although certainly in the first half we had a lot more possession, but Spurs were a lot more dangerous, weren't they? Every time they came forward, you felt they could score. Yeah, and we didn't offer that threat, did we? And like you said, it is very similar to the problems that we had last season. And, we've got 4 days until the start, 3 days until the start of the Premier League season. And have any of those issues been addressed? Because they don't seem to have been in pre-season. And it's got a big ask to suddenly expect things to suddenly change from Friday, and suddenly we're going to offer a massive goal threat going forward, because I can't see where that's coming from. Not with the current players that we've got or the system that we play. It's just not going to happen, and that's the frustrating thing. And I can see this happening a lot this season. We'll have a lot of possession and we won't create an awful lot, and then the other team will score with the 1 or 2 chances that they have. and then you're chasing the game. And I can see this being a theme, unfortunately, as it was quite often last season, wasn't it? And it is frustrating. And I think that's the biggest. That to me, that's the thing at the moment. The frustration is what I'm feeling watching us play, because nothing seems to have changed from last. All the negative, bad thing to have done. Yes, Ben White looks good. He had a good first half in particular. As we've said, Lokonga looks pretty tidy in midfield, doesn't he? But ultimately, the problems that we had weren't really in those two positions necessarily. It's more to do with the system that we're playing and obviously the goal threat that we don't have. So, yeah, it was really, really frustrating. So it was actually good for me personally. I don't know whether you guys watched the women's game afterwards. I caught bits and pieces of it. I was sort of doing a bit of other stuff, but they played a sort of football that I wish the men's team were playing. You know, they offer a goal threat, they're organised, and this is despite having a lot of their better players still away from the Olympics. So, I mean, did you watch the women's game at all, Melvin? I know you got a lot going on it. No.
I've had so much going on that I didn't get a chance, to be honest with you. No,
I didn't think you made. Did you watch any of that, Adam? Because I know you sometimes do, don't you? Get to see women.
Yeah, I didn't. Unfortunately, it was my youngest's birthday Sunday, so I could only get away with one game rather than the two. So
you picked the wrong one. You picked the wrong one.
I did, yeah, I did. But I did catch the highlights and stuff. And like you said, there's so much more exciting to watch, and there's so much more positive. Just positive. They're not afraid to get forward, and they play without fear. And that's the biggest thing I would say. They play without fear, like we used to play without fear, like free-flowing attacking. And that's, the men's team could definitely take a leaf out of their books.
Yeah, I agree, and it's been that's maybe the one thing that's giving me a little bit of hope for the season, because I'm not too sure how the men's are going to do, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But for me, the women look set to have a really good season, actually. Ryan's in the chat. How you doing, Ryan? Thanks for tuning in. And he said there that the women have a new coach as well. Yeah, they do. And it's, we'll see how that works out. But certainly the early signs are looking good. And Mark's in the chat as well. How you doing, Mark? Thanks for tuning in as well. But yeah, no, I mean, the women are giving me a little bit more to be optimistic about at the moment than maybe the men are. But, we haven't started the season yet, so we're not going to get too down on ourselves, because there's a lot can happen yet. There's a lot of games to play. And, like we said before, it is pre-season and it's not quite gone as we would have hoped, but it doesn't matter because they're all friendlies. Let's focus on Friday. But obviously, there has been a little bit of other news. Oh, there's a cat joining us. We've got another guest.
Yeah, I know. She likes to get involved with stuff. So, don't mind her.
Maybe, did she want a game on Friday? Is she available?
She's fast. I tell you, she's not afraid to attack.
No, she sounds ideal. Get her in the team. See if Mikel needs an extra body for Friday, maybe. I mean, obviously, there's been a little bit of news in terms of a player apparently just about to leave, which we can talk about now. I don't think the deal's actually been completed yet, as I've not seen any official pictures that Joe's actually signed for Newcastle, but all the signs are looking as though that's just a matter of tidying up the bits and pieces and getting it finalised. I mean, what did you think about that, Melvin? I mean, it looks like it might be a bit sort of 20-25 million for Joe Willock. Do you think that's a good deal for us, or do you reckon he could have maybe done a job in our midfield at some stage during the season?
I think, Richard, this deal is great for everybody. I think it suits Arsenal for the money. I don't think we're losing the best player we've got. He's not the worst, but he's not the best. And perhaps he can't quite cut it where we want to go. I think it's terrific for Newcastle. They're buying a player they know and have got confidence in and knows that he can score goals for them. And I think he now has got the confidence going into a team, knows that he's not there as a bit player. He's going in there as one of the main players. And he's got the confidence to push on with them. I don't think he'll hit the heights. Sorry, he will hit the heights with Newcastle that he'd never hit with the Arsenal. I think he's got to have far more confidence playing for Newcastle than for Arsenal. And good luck to him. Absolutely good luck to him. I think everyone's a winner there. Honestly, can't say that on too many transfers. But I think everyone, the player, both clubs, everything, it fits him perfectly. And I hope he goes through for all parties.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree with that. I do think it's a good deal for Joe in particular because he's going to play a lot more regularly. He did thrive there, obviously, at the end of last season. Scored a lot of goals from midfield. It is an area that we've maybe lacked, haven't we? A goal scoring midfield player, but I feel as though he's had plenty of opportunities for us. I mean, what about yourself, Adam? Are you going to be sad to see Joe leaving, or do you think this may be best for everyone, as Melvin said?
Yeah, I mean, like I said last week, I quite like Willock. I like him as a player, and I do think he brought energy to the team when he was in the team. But in reality, I didn't see him playing that much, this season. I did see him as coming off the bench, making a bit of an impact, etc. And with the current climate in us needing to trim our squad down and getting rid of players, if you get a bid of 20 million plus, for someone who's not going to play probably even a third of the games or start the third of the games, you've got to take it in the current market because you need to free up that squad place because we know that there's gaps in that squad where we need to improve. And we've got whether we don't have the right players in midfield, we've got the numbers. Do you know what I mean? We've got the numbers there. And I think that if we didn't sell him now, we run the risk of doing like a Maitland-Niles from last year. We had offers last year for Maitland-Niles, which we turned down. And then he hardly played this year, and now you're not going to get a fraction of what was offered for him this summer. And I think you risk doing that with Willock this time, that if we didn't turn it down, he could then hardly play this year, and then his value goes right down, and then you end up giving him away for free. So from a business sense, yeah, I understand it. I would have liked to have seen him given a chance, but I just don't see where he would have fit in the team. Like how Arteta wants to play, he's not going to play alongside a Partey or a Xhaka. I don't think he's that kind of player. And then when you're looking further down the field, is he going to get in ahead of, Smith Rowe and hopefully a new number 8 or 10 who comes in? Probably not. So yeah, it makes sense, and it's a good move for him because the fans really took to him last year. He seemed to fit right into what they want to do. He's definitely got some talent there, and I think that in reality, that's probably the kind of team where he'll shine in. Could I see him going to a top 4, top 6 team? Probably not, but mid-table team, I think he's right. And 20 million for a player who's probably not played that much for us, it's good business. So yeah, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think generally we all are. I suppose it's just the danger, isn't there, of it being another Emi Martinez, where every time he plays well for Newcastle, there'll be loads of our fans saying, "Oh, we should have kept him," and what have you. But I guess that's going to be the case. Whoever
on the flip side, it could be another Iwobi. Could be another Alex Iwobi.
Although I think he obviously, because he has already done well for Newcastle, it's more likely that he's going to do well again, isn't it? Playing under the same manager in a similar system with the same players around him, he's more likely to have a decent season at Newcastle, isn't he? Whereas Iwobi was, going into a new club completely with and having to adapt as well. So, we knew what Iwobi was going to be like probably when he left, actually. So we've had there's a Turf Moor House TV in. Thanks for watching. Obviously, Burnley fans. Willock could be the reason between Newcastle staying up or going down. Yeah, that could well be. His goals from midfield are going to probably be crucial. And he says the great news about Xhaka, that 6 points for us next season. He did help
absolutely
last season against us, didn't he? So I'm sure that might well be the case. He might be injured in them games maybe this season, who knows? But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that happens again. But anyway, let's hope that that's all out of the way. But yeah, I mean, obviously, Burnley are going to probably be in a battle again this season, aren't they, with what's gone on over at their club? We'll get Dan back on the channel in a few weeks' time when we play Burnley, so be interested to see how they start the season as well. But we've got our own problems to worry about at the moment rather than worrying about other clubs as well. So we've got enough on our plate, haven't we? I mean, another player who has been leaving possibly to Newcastle as well is Rob Holding. Obviously, with Ben White coming in, is Rob Holding now sort of surplus to requirements? Do we think, Melvin? What do you think about that? Would you think maybe if Newcastle want Holding as well, should we do that deal, or do you reckon we should hold on to him and keep him in the squad maybe?
No, let him go. Get decent money. Well, they're talking about 15, 20, are they? Is that what they're talking about?
Yeah, about that. Yeah, about 15, I think, was what we're
Well, let him go. Let him go because he's not quite there for me. He made a year or so ago, before he got injured against Man United, he looked really, really good. And since that time he's been injured, he seems to have lost a bit of confidence. His awareness, which I didn't really think was that bad, has come to the front the last season or so. He doesn't know where the forward is, which is not great for a centre half. And he gets beaten here by some 5'8" forward. So as we've seen for a couple of goals last year. So no, to me, I've lost confidence in him. I'm afraid. I think we can do better. I mean, if we get 15 for him or 20 for him, that means we're probably paying. If that ain't a bad deal. To me, that's a very good deal. I actually think that's superb. And we've got other ones. I'm just a bit worried when you talk about centre halves, Richard. I'm losing a bit of patience with Amari.
Yeah,
I've really at the end of last season and a couple of friendlies this year, he looked like stepping up. But I think a couple of times he goes wandering for a centre. He goes wandering. You go, where does he go when the other team have a breakaway? You're thinking, is he? I'm sure I saw him earlier on the pitch, and he's up the other end. I mean, you know, with all due respect, that's not what you want to see. He's got to read the game a little bit better than that. You know, being a defender, you've got to know when to go and when not to go. And if you do go, you've got to get back, be in a position that you can get back. And a couple of times he's been wandering all over the place. So that worries me a bit. And also, he's a bit hesitant when it comes to making a tackle near the box. I know we don't want to give penalties away, but he seems over hesitant. He seems to lay off the forward too much, in my opinion, as the goal on Sunday showed.
Yeah, no, I must admit he's been really poor actually. He was really poor on Sunday, and he wasn't that great against Chelsea either, was he? So it's a little bit of a concern going into the season, especially as Gabriel's not going to be fit yet to start the season. So he's probably going to play. He's probably going to be him and Ben White, and we'll come on to that in a little while. But yeah, that's a worry. In terms of Rob Holding, I think he's never got back to the form he showed before his injury. But also as well, let's bear in mind that was under Unai Emery when he played well. He played his best football under Unai Emery actually, didn't he, for that spell? And then he got injured, and then he didn't play again until Mikel Arteta was there. And again, maybe it's a case of a player not suiting the system. He's not the best playing the ball out from the back, is he, Rob Holding? Let's face it, you know. And I think maybe he struggled in the system. So yeah, I kind of agree. If we can get decent money for him, or a reasonably good sum of money for him. What about you, Adam? Do you think Rob Holding, maybe we should be looking at getting him off the books now, or would you like to keep him?
If it's going to be a transfer for money, and like you just said, get 15 million upwards, take it. I wouldn't loan him out because I wouldn't see the point. Again, I keep going on about wanting to trim the squad. So I know Newcastle are possibly looking at him on loan, but if it's going to be a loan, I just don't see the point in that. We need money. We need to clear gaps in the squad. So if we get 15, 20 million bid for him, I'd take it. I would. It would concern me that it possibly could leave us short. I know that Chambers can play there and right back, and I think that will definitely secure Chambers' place in the squad, at least for this season, because Gabriel's had some injury problems. You know, he's been a bit hit and miss injury-wise. He hasn't had that long stretch of games, especially towards the end of last season. As you mentioned, Mari concerns me. At first, when I saw Mari, I was like, I like the look of him. Seems calm, good on the ball, can play it out, looks good in the air. But yeah, towards the back end of last season and in pre-season especially, I've not been that confident. So, you know, you are kind of leaving then Ben White as your main central defender if someone does get injured. But I do completely agree with Holding. Holding's a player who I really wanted to succeed. When we bought him, a young, you know, English centre-back, he looked like an old-school kind of centre-half, and I like that. But yeah, he never really pushed on for me. I thought that, I remember the FA Cup final against Chelsea, I thought him and Saka were absolutely incredible. And after that, I thought, well, this could be that launch pad that he needs to kind of kick on. And yeah, he had the injuries in that, but for me, he never really capitalised, and he never really made that centre-back spot his own. You know, for me, he was never going to be a guaranteed starter. Like when you saw the team sheet, you never thought, oh, definitely going to be Holding this week. You always thought it might be. And yeah, in this climate, if we can get the money, take it. But potentially with Saliba out on loan as well, that does leave us with 4, you know, recognised centre-backs if you include Chambers in that. So potentially that could leave us a bit short if we get injuries and suspensions. But yeah, I'll take the money. Yeah,
I mean, you've got to bear in mind as well, of course, we know Europe this season, a lot less games that we've mentioned this before. Exactly. So, you know, do we necessarily need more than 4 centre-backs? You know, we could get
that injury in that.
We could be unlucky and get 3 injured at the same time, which would be unfortunate, wouldn't it? But, you know, in the number of games that we've got, I think it's probably worth, you know, moving him on. If we get, I agree with you. I think a loan would be pointless from a financial point of view for the club. Yeah, we either need to sell him or keep him, one or the other. It's not worth sending him on loan. I totally agree. I don't know if Newcastle got enough money to buy Willock and Holding. That's the problem, isn't it? I suppose. if they don't have a lot of money floating around, do they, Newcastle? So that could be a stumbling block on that particular deal. But that's going to be a one to watch maybe over the next couple of weeks until the window shuts, see what happens with that one. But we'll see. Dave from the Out and Out Gunners podcast is in the chat. How you doing, Dave? Thanks for tuning. He says, Chambers and Holding are bang average. I think we would agree with that. We need these type of players out. They're just not good enough. Totally agree with that. Dave there also says, has anyone been less excited for a league game than this year? Yeah, I mean, it's got a bit like that, hasn't it, really? It's not exactly much to look forward to, perhaps, but we'll see. I mean, that kind of moves us on actually quite nicely, actually, Dave, there, on to the next little segment, actually. So Brentford away then. This is a fixture that Arsenal haven't played for 74 years, which is quite interesting. Obviously, a different stadium there in their new stadium as well. So it's going to be the first time we've visited the ground, and also, I say, the first time we've played Brentford away since 1947. May 1947 was the last time, a long, long time ago. And they were in the first division actually in the 1930s, and we never had a particularly good record against them. I think we only beat them twice in 10 league games. So, you know, they maybe had a little bit of a voodoo over us actually back then. Let's hope that that's long in the past. But, I mean, what are we thinking about this game? I personally think it's going to be a really difficult game. Brentford seems to have a settled team. They've got, obviously, the bounce from getting promotion, winning the playoffs. They've had a decent pre-season, actually. They got a draw at Old Trafford. They beat Valencia at the weekend. They've only lost 1 out of their 6 pre-season games. That was against West Ham. So they've done well in pre-season. They've got a little bit of momentum from last season as well. And the crowd, obviously, it's the first time they're going to have a full crowd in the stadium as well for a league game. And I just feel as though on a Friday night under the lights, the first game of the season, everybody's going to be watching it. They are going to be up for this game, Brentford, aren't they? And the atmosphere of the crowd and everything else is going to give them a lift. We look a bit disjointed, as we've said. I am a little bit worried. What about you, Melvin? What are your thoughts ahead of this game on Friday, the start of the new season?
Well, as the teams come out, I'll be very, very, very confident. But now I'm not confident at all. I can't see where we're going to get goals from. No. Unless they make mistakes like us, I think we'll struggle. You know what's quite interesting, we just said, in the 30s, we only beat them twice out of 10, did you say?
Yeah.
We were a fantastic team in the 30s. So it must have been a shock to only beat them twice in 10 games.
I know.
That's really weird. No, but I'm very, listen, to be realistic, we should, I hope I'm wrong, we should struggle, really. Hopefully we can pull something out the bag. But if the last few games got anything to go by against the decent teams, and perhaps not so decent teams against, was it who beat us 2-1? Was it Hibernian beat us? Who were, you know, I mean, and let's face it, Rangers nearly beat us as well. We got a goal not long from the end. But we played a bit better against Rangers, to be honest. I just think that we don't seem to be, when we put teams under pressure, if they could just hold it, the other team, which they seem to do very easily, we're never going to score. They grow in confidence, the other team. You can see them, the defence growing in confidence, thinking, oh, here they come again. We'll snuff this one out. We know what they're going to try and do. Just hold them there. They'll have to put it square, and then they'll probably lose possession, or they'll kick it over the bar. I mean, it really is. Just to get back to what you said before, Adam, about Aubameyang, right? And you know, I want him to do well. I want them all to do well. Yeah. You know, I think the geezer's got amazing talent. But you said that he's not getting chances. I agree that he's not getting a lot of chances from the rest of the players, but a lot of chances come his way. The one on Sunday against Spurs, when he was offside, I think, when the ball came to the far post, when he miskicked it from a yard out. Yeah. I mean, that's nothing to do with not getting supply. That's just a geezer who ain't on form. It showed no confidence in what his body language was, the whole situation, and that's a worry for me about us. Yeah, I mean, you want the defenders to have a worry. Look, Aubameyang's playing wherever he's playing through the middle or whatever. They don't have to worry about him, in all seriousness, because he just messes it up himself. You want him to be firing, and I don't know what's going to happen. Something hits him on the back of the head and goes in, changes luck. Something's got to happen to him, because it can't continue. It can't happen for the next 2-3 months, him playing like he does, with his shoulders below his knees, and with him miskicking the ball in front of goal, and him not controlling the ball when he all have to do is push it inside and him being snuffed out too easily. That can't keep happening because basically that's our talisman. And if he ain't playing well, we are struggling. He's our captain. He's our main goal scorer, hopefully. I want the others to chip in as well, but he's our main goal scorer. If he is actually having a mare week in, week out, it can't be good for the rest of the squad, not alone our performance. The rest of the squad is going up in a minute. Where's it going to come from? So I think that's a big worry. And this Friday night, he's playing against a team that was a championship team last season, defence-wise and everything. He should, like he did against Fulham the year before we started, he scored a terrific goal and he looked good running off the ball. He should hopefully do that again. I can't see it. I think there's more to this than meets the eye. I hope I'm wrong. But that is, for me, that's a big thing with our season this year. A very, very, very big thing is can he actually get himself up and running again? Because it ain't going to happen by doing nothing. Something's got to happen. And we can't be complacent and pick him every week and hope. No team that good. No team. If De Bruyne has a mare for 2 or 3 games or 4 or 5 games, he ain't getting picked, believe me, for Man City. He ain't getting picked. He's going to have a little break. No, not drop the such. Just the manager go, you know what? It's not quite happening for you. Just give you a little bit. I'm just going to leave you out. Just let you get a little bit of get yourself back to where you were. I think any other team would do that. We seem to be playing him week in, week out, and him letting it, and he's basically not letting the team down. He's trying, but it's not happening for him. And what happens is when it's not happening, his shoulders go down. It gets even worse. It's a cycle. Hopefully, something, as I say, something like that, and some pigeon a smack on his head, he'd go like that and then kick the ball and it go in the net. Something's got to happen to change it, because otherwise we will be struggling all season. Anyway, there we go. And the Brentford game will be the start of it anyway.
No, I agree. And obviously Brentford have got a striker of their own. Obviously, Ivan Toney, who briefly played in the Premier League with Newcastle a few years ago, that broke the goal scoring record for the Championship last season. So they've got a goal scorer banging form. And that could be quite interesting, him coming up against Ben White as well, our new defender. They might have a bit of a battle going on, those two, throughout the game on Friday. That could maybe be what decides it. Dave there's got a bit of a quiz question here. He says, what was the score the last time we played them? The last time we played them in the league, we actually won 1-0 at Griffin Park. And the last time we played them, of course, was in the League Cup, wasn't it? 3 or 4 years ago when we beat them 3-1 at the Emirates. Well, I think Danny Welbeck scored, didn't he? One of the goals that night. So, but in the league, it was 1-0 back in 1947. Paddy Sloan scored our goal. And I say that was one of only 2 victories that we've only ever had in the league against Brentford. 2 victories in 10 games is a very, very poor record. But as we say, most of it's over 75 years ago. So, it shouldn't really have any bearing at all on Friday or any other game this season against them. So, but, sometimes these records, they tend to, I don't know, that they seem to have an impact sometimes. But, it is a long time ago. So let's hope that, we don't carry that into this season, actually. I mean, what are your thoughts, Adam? Are you going on Friday? Have you got a ticket?
No, I'm not going on Friday, no. But I'll be watching it. Might even go down the pub and watch it, actually. Get a bit of atmosphere, although a lot of the pubs near where I live are Spurs territory, but we'll ignore that. For me, it's about as worse a first game of the season we could have got. New team coming up, new stadium. The fans haven't really been in that stadium yet. They are going to have nothing to fear, especially against us at the way we were playing the back end of last year and the back end we are playing in pre-season. They're going to, they've got no pressure. If they lose, it's fine. They're in the Premier League. If they get a result, it's going to be immense for them. So they're going to be going into that game with absolutely no fear. They're going to be, playing their game. They're not going to worry about us. And I think we're still going to have that kind of hangover from last year, and especially because we haven't had a good pre-season and nothing has progressed really in the playing style. They know that. They know our weak spots. And I think the fact that if we think we can just sit back and catch them on the break, we've got another thing coming, because they press from the front, Brentford. Saw them a few times last couple of years, and they're a good side to watch. They press from the front. Like you mentioned, they've got a goal scorer, and it worries me a bit because this game has become, if you think about it, even as the first game of the season, bear in mind what our fixtures are after that, Chelsea, City, a couple of games after that, you've got Spurs. if we don't get a result against Brentford, we could go, 3 games and be 0 points after 3 games. So it's like, this is a really important game. Sometimes in first day of the season, fluke results happen. You're like, well, fair enough, these things happen. But bearing in mind the teams we've got and the way those teams are, City are always going to be strong. I think Chelsea will be strong this year, based on how they finished last year and the signings they are looking to make. That, yeah, it's become a vitally important game. I'm not confident in the slightest. I'd love the team just to come out and surprise me and be attacking and maybe have a little bit of a surprise in the lineup and the selection, which could be good as well. But I just can't see it. I think it's going to be very similar to what was selected against Spurs. But I completely agree with what Melvin said about Aubameyang as well. He is a chance, but you're right. When he has had the chances, he's just not confident at all. But the thing that concerns me is the fact that he is our club captain. And Arteta doesn't seem the person who would drop our club captain because he thinks it will affect morale. But he's not helping Aubameyang. He's going through that bad phase. Keeping him playing and putting that pressure on him is not going to help him. And you're right. I do think he'll need a bit of luck, or he'll need a bit of a purple patch to get his back. And we all want him to succeed. We do. But he's not getting any younger. He's 32 now, and that's kind of the age when the top strikers, unless you're like Ronaldo, Lewandowski, start to peter off a little bit. He's still got a bit of pace, etc. But I'm not confident going into the season with him and Lacazette as our 2 main strikers. That worries me a little bit. But and I can't see him being dropped. That's the thing. I just can't see him being dropped for any length of time. Maybe substituted, but given the fact that he is our club captain, you can't really take it off him because that's just going to completely destroy him. But the fact that he is, and he is as our highest paid player as well, I just can't see him dropping him. Because he's not even got the excuse now of Europe, of saving him for Europe. So could give him a chance. It's like, I just can't see it happening. And it would be great if we got a good start and Aubameyang scored a couple of goals. That could be what he needs. But I'm not confident about Brentford at all because of the reasons I've said, really. Yeah.
Yeah, no. I mean, I totally agree, and I think, as you said, I think it's probably one of the most difficult opening games that we could have had. When you look at other teams that we could have played, I'd rather play one of the other 2 promoted teams than Brentford, or pretty much anybody else who's a regular in the Premier League. Maybe you wouldn't really want Man City with you, or Man United first game maybe, but pretty much virtually anyone else I'd have taken over Brentford. I think it's a really, really difficult, especially away from home. Maybe at home would have been a different story, but away from home,
I would have been a bit more. Yeah, home I would have been a bit more confident, but being away from home, their new stadium, first game in the Premier League.
Exactly. Yeah, it's everything's in their favour, really, isn't it? I guess for them to get the win, that would mean so much to them. Obviously, I think it would mean more to them as a club than it would to us. Obviously, their first game ever in the Premier League. So, it's happened before, hasn't it? Teams newly promoted, they start the season well, and that is a worry. And how we're playing in pre-season hasn't really helped. Dave there talks about their winger in Buemo. Yeah, I've seen a little bit of him. He looks decent, actually. He said he looks a player as well as Tony. And anyone that we know that played for both teams other than Josh Da Silva and Dominic Thompson. Yeah, there is quite a few, actually. I've got a list together to do when I do a preview of the game. There's quite a few, actually, going back a long way as well. And a few maybe more recent ones. Well, obviously, Isaiah Rankin, who's been on the channel, he played for Brentford as well as Arsenal. And obviously, John Purdy, who I spoke to last night, he didn't play for the first team at Arsenal. He did play for the youth team with Tony Adams and stuff. And he played for Brentford as well. So there's those 2.
Chesney was on loan at Brentford.
Yeah, Chesney was on loan. Yeah, I think I've got a list of about 20-odd players, actually, that have played for both clubs. So there's a few good names on there, actually, a few unexpected ones that I was surprised about when I researched it. So there is quite a few, but yeah, stay tuned for that though, because I'll be going through them sort of later in the week as we build towards Friday. So there is quite a few. So there might be a few familiar names and maybe a few unfamiliar names. Obviously, Josh Da Silva is obviously currently still playing well for Brentford, isn't he? So obviously came through our academy as well. I mean, what we'll do actually, we'll wait till the end when we're going to do the predictions for all the games to predict the score for our one, maybe do it all together with that, because it'd be interesting to know what score predictions you guys have got for our game, because it could be anything really, couldn't it? Let's be honest, like pretty much every game. But we will come on to that after. What I want to do though is do our usual section, going into the archives, looking back on a season from the past. Obviously, if you're listening on Spotify, you wouldn't have seen the picture there of Arsene Wenger when he first joined the club. So we're going back to 1996-97 season. One of the reasons why I picked this season tonight is because we started that season in a bit of a mess. Bruce Willock got sacked after a few of the friendlies hadn't gone too well. I think we lost to Northampton in pre-season that year, and we didn't have some very good results. And I think the plan was always to get rid of him anyway. And we did start the season with Stuart Houston in charge briefly before he went to QPR, and then Pat Rice took over as caretaker. And I remember kind of feeling that a bit of confusion as to what was going on. We didn't know what was coming, of course, with Arsene arriving. We didn't know about that at the time, but it just seemed as though we were going into a season in a little bit of a mess. That's what it felt at that time, as indeed it does now. And in the end, it didn't turn out too bad, did it? Arsene came, Patrick Vieira came, and although we didn't win anything that season, the transformation started, and we, of course, won the double the year after. So that was actually quite a watershed season, actually, I felt. It was kind of getting rid of the old kind of George Graham style, and it brought in the new Arsene Wenger style. And that was a kind of transition season, wasn't it? There were some good performances that season, actually. And Patrick Vieira obviously stood out, didn't he? From his first game when he came on against Sheffield Wednesday and transformed it. We were losing 1-0 and we ended up winning 4-1. And I know Wrighty got a hat-trick that day, but that game was all about Patrick Vieira, wasn't it? And from that moment on, we knew we had someone special, didn't we? I mean, did you remember much about that season, Melvin? Obviously, a lot of great memories from that for me.
And for me, I mean, that game it's all about with Patrick Vieira. When he came on, the ball went under his foot, I think, the first thing he done, over a throw. Yeah. But the guy that Jerome played football, and I used to watch him, obviously, and the father of one of the other guys that played, and he was retired, and he used to watch the Arsenal youth and reserve teams. And Patrick Vieira played a few games in the reserves. Right? No one knew about that. He just played a few games, wasn't televised or nothing like that. And he said to me, "This geezer, you wait till he gets in the first team. He is unbelievable." So I knew there was something special to make. Didn't know about anything of Wenger's Wenger signing, let's face it. I know that he wasn't there at the time we signed him, but it was a Wenger signing. We didn't know anything about Wenger or what he bought or how he bought players. So for us, it was just a player that we'd never heard of, and is he any good? But we knew in that game, Sheffield Wednesday, he was like had a presence about him, and so that was wonderful. I'd tell you what I do remember from that season. I mean, you're right what you say. He got sacked just before the season, Rioch. I think it was about a week before the season he got sacked. Yeah. It's a bit strange. He brought Anelka along, Wenger, an unknown kid. And he played, I think it might have been his first game he come on as sub. I think it was. I was there away at Derby, last game of the season. The last game they played at baseball ground. I went. I went to that, And they played the bugle, didn't they? The last post. Remember that? Yeah, I do, Well, I nearly got chucked out because I nearly started laughing. I couldn't believe what was going on. Anyway, that's how that was the one. I went to the Man United game when Winterburn scored that own goal, or Crossley chested it into his own goal. Do you remember that? I think that might have been the game that Ian Wright went into Schmeichel. Studs up.
No, it wasn't that one.
Was that one?
I think that was a return at Highbury, because
we did one at United as well. We done one at United. That's when it all started. I thought. I might be wrong.
Well, maybe then. Maybe he didn't. I know there was that one. I think
Schmeichel made a lot out of it at Old Trafford, and he didn't really touch him, righty. And that's when it had to get it out of Highbury and start again.
Maybe you're right.
I could be wrong. I could be right. That's the thing. I tell you what I did notice about that season, looking back. I know the prices don't sound a lot, but how things have changed. We got then, I reckon, some decent money for some players. We sold Hillier Dickhoff for £1 million. That's decent money for a guy that couldn't really get in our team. He did well when he left us with Leicester and what have you.
Yeah.
Now Linegan, we paid £500,000 for Linegan. We sold him 3 or 4 years later for £500,000. Now, these days, we'd have sold him for nothing or given him on loan the way we do things. No, we've got the same money back. Yeah, exactly. We've got the same money for him. Now, Eddie McGoldrick, I thought we just with £250,000 for him. I mean, how things changed, how the directors were different.
Yeah.
You know, they did what you like. You know, the way they did things at the top was so different to nowadays. We got decent money for Hartson, for Hillier, £250,000. For Morrow, we got £500,000 quid for Morrow. Nearly not re-established himself in the first team. No. Is that true? Is that fair? Decent player, but didn't really. We got hardly notes for him. So how things have changed, how sad it is on that respect, of what we did in that season to what we're doing now, to where we're just loaning players out. Please give us what you think they're worth, not what we think they're worth. But as I say, we went to some great games. I went to I didn't go. Sorry, we played away at Newcastle. And what I used to do, I used to go a hybrid. I used to have on the big telescreen. Do you remember those big screens?
Yeah.
I went to that. I think that was the game we won 2-1. Is that the game? I think Adams got sent off or something.
Yeah.
I think Dixon got a great header.
Yeah.
And Right, 2-1. Ian Wright. That was great going to watch these games, that big teller, whatever they call it. It was fantastic. And of course, Newcastle had a good season that season. So to beat them away at Newcastle was no mean feat. So they were my little things from the season. That was what I remember from that season.
Yeah, no, it obviously the thing that sticks in my mind. I mean, the thing that sticks in my mind, apart from obviously Patrick Vieira, was just the transition in the style of football. Obviously, Arsene Wenger's style of football, it wasn't immediate, but you could see it transitioning throughout the season, couldn't you? And by the time we got to the end of the season, you could kind of. I was quite excited thinking about where we were going to head in the future. And of course, the following season, as we know, it all kind of clicked together. We got a few new signings and he rebuilt the squad. So, but yeah, I mean, I think that helped, didn't it? Vieira and like you said, Anelka as well. He was quite raw, Anelka, wasn't he? A little skinny kid, but you could see he had something about him, didn't he? Even from the very early days, that first game, like you said, when he came on, you're thinking, oh, actually, he don't look like a footballer, this kid, but he's got something about him. And, and he obviously went on to have a great career as well, didn't he? I mean, but what kind of sticks in your mind, Adam, from that season? I'm guessing you'd have quite fond memories as well.
Yeah, I do. I was back in Highbury days when I had my season ticket, which I love Highbury. And similar to you, I mean, this was the days before Twitter and YouTube and stuff. And I remember, first of all, reading about the players we were signing in the paper, because that's the only real method you had of finding out about signings. And, reading that we were signing Remy Gard, Patrick Vieira, thinking, who are these people? I think Vieira was obviously from AC Milan. Gard had come from Auxerre or someone. You're thinking, well, who are these people? I think we re-signed John Lukic that year as well, I seem to remember.
Yeah, we did, that's right.
When he was with us. Yeah. I quite liked it. Obviously, he was only going to be coming as a backup, but I quite liked him coming back. And I do vividly remember the Sheffield Wednesday game, sitting there. It was a Monday night game, it was a week game. It was definitely an evening game. And when Vieira came on as a sub, when we were 1-0 down, like, you chat to the people around you, everyone was like, oh, let's see what he's like. And bearing in mind, no one had seen YouTube videos. No one had a clue what he was going to be like. First thing everyone's like is, blimey, he's tall. It's like, yeah, he is. And like Melvin said, the first thing he did was that throw that went under his foot. And I remember people around it. I do remember everyone going, oh, that groan. But then, that groan that used to go around Highbury, But then from that onwards, he just grabbed the game, didn't he? And he was incredible. Up and down, and everyone, like, by the end of the game was like, we've got someone here. How the hell did we get him? And I remember leaving there, he got the action. We won 4-1. And everyone was just happy. Do you know what I mean? Everyone was like really happy and thinking, actually, things are not as bad. And I really remember that game and, walking away from the stadium being in a really good mood. But I also seem to remember, we, even though there was a lot of turmoil at the start, we actually got off to a really strong start. I think we only lost like 1 in 10 or 1 in 11 games in the league start of the season. So we got off to a really, really strong start. And we only had a really dodgy patch around Christmas time, which is when sort of Wenger Wenger took charge in January, didn't he, I think, or around that time.
September, I thought.
September, yeah. Well, it was October. I think October the 1st was his first game officially.
Okay. Did we go for a really dodgy patch around December of that year, like really kind of, because we were flying, and they went for a typical dodgy patch in November, like we used to do, November, December, and then clawed it back sort of the second half. But yeah, I do remember it fondly, and I remember, that was the start of Wenger's reign, really. That was the start of him bringing in those kind of players, and the style of play was just getting better, and it was much more exciting. I remember it being much more exciting from what we were used to. So yeah, I got really kind of fond memories, and I was quite a big fan of John Hartson actually back in the day, and I really liked him. But it was clear to see that he wasn't a Wenger type player, because I seem to remember him. He always scored goals for us when he played. He was always scoring goals. He had a decent partnership with Ian Wright when he played. Obviously, when Bergkamp was involved, he didn't play as much, and he didn't have that kind of connection with Bergkamp. But I always thought Hartson was a good third option. But like you said, like we sold him for about 5 million at West Ham, and I was quite gutted when he left. But I mean, 5 million in those days was a good amount of money. I think we only signed him for about $1 million 2 years before. So it was a great bit of business. But yeah, I remember that season pretty fondly, being at Highbury, and I went to a couple of the games at Highbury with the old Jumbotron, TV up.
Yeah,
They were good.
Jumbotron, yeah, that was it. Yeah.
But no, it was a good season.
Yeah, it was, and I think maybe as well, perhaps the expectation was a lot lower then, perhaps as well. We'd kind of come out of the George Graham era, and I think we all sort of accepted that it was a transitional time for the club, and maybe because our expectations were low, because that season went a lot better than we'd expected. We played obviously a lot better football than we'd expected, and we got these new signings which were quite exciting. Foreign players which maybe we hadn't really had too many foreign players before that, other than Bergkamp really, and Petrovic maybe before that. I can't remember too many others before that time. So it was quite a time of change, but quite exciting, and it was good to be a part of it then. I mean, I had a season ticket on the clock end back then, and it was a great time to be at Arsenal, be at Highbury, because maybe part of it was because of the expectations were a lot lower. We'd won a few trophies under George Graham, obviously, and we'd been a decent side, but it didn't seem to be. You didn't go into every season thinking that unless we win the league, it's a disappointing season. You kind of went into it with a bit more maybe realistic sort of ambitions for where we were at that time, maybe. And I enjoyed that season perhaps a lot more than some seasons where we won trophies, actually, maybe for that reason. It was refreshing. It was something new and different. And I don't know, I just thought it was fantastic. I mean, I went to loads of away games that season as well, and it was just a fun time to be an Arsenal fan and to be at the game, wasn't it? And and it's a shame that we can't get days like that back again. And maybe you're right what you said about no social media. You found everything out on maybe facts or in the newspapers, and it was more exciting doing it that way, wasn't it? You had to go out of your way to find it rather than it just being thrown in your face all the time. And I don't know, it was happier times, maybe a little bit more innocent times, maybe in some ways. And I don't know, it's a shame, but it's nice to it was nice to have experienced that time at Arsenal, actually, because I thought that was one of the more enjoyable seasons, considering we didn't win a trophy. We came third in the end. We didn't even qualify for the Champions League because it was only the top two in them days. I think Newcastle beat us 1-0 at Highbury right near the end of the season, and that meant they finished second and we finished third. And that was a little bit disappointing at the time, I suppose, but it didn't really alter the enjoyment of the season. And that last game, Melvin, at Derby, we won 3-1. Bergkamp scored that great goal, didn't he, when he chipped the keeper? Yeah. And that was just a great way to finish that season, I thought. And none of us would. I think was it Tony Adams got sent off that day as well? I think it was Tony Adams. That's another game, a bit like the Newcastle one. We were down to 10 men and we ended up winning the game. I think we might have been losing at one point as well. But that we wouldn't have known, would we, that game at Derby, that last game then, that was going to be, the following season, the last game of the following season, we'd be winning the league. You know what I mean? It was incredible, really. I mean, who would have thought that was going to happen? It was, I mean, what a great time that was. So, Arsene Wenger was, of course, the architect of all that. I'll never be able to look badly on Arsene Wenger, despite the way it ended and despite all the other stuff that went on. True. My memories of Arsene Wenger will always be from those first few years, with the refreshingness of it all and how great it was to be around that time. So yeah, it's just a shame it had to end the way it did, but I guess it was always going to end badly, wasn't it? It always does, unless you're Alex Ferguson, it always ends badly, doesn't it? But yeah, I mean, that was a great season, and we played some great football. And obviously, he scored 30 goals, didn't he? Bergkamp scored about 15, 16. Great partnership. Vieira obviously bossed the whole thing, didn't he? What a fantastic player. And we still had the back five, didn't we? The famous back five from George Graham's day. So we didn't concede a lot of goals either. And, what I wouldn't give for a
times.
team like that now. You know, just fantastic, isn't it? It's just a shame we can't go back and relive that again, really. But I might get the DVD out later and watch it again, because it was great. Some great memories there, some great football that we played, some great players as well, and yeah, great times. And thanks Arsene for that season and many others as well. But yeah, fantastic. Obviously David Dean as well. We need to thank David Dean, because he got Arsene Wenger to the club, didn't he? So yeah, that was great. Right, before we finish, because I know Adam's got to shoot soon, we need to do this. So we're gonna do the predictions then for week 1 of the Premier League, weekend 1, the big kick-off. There's 10 games, of course, every week. So we're going to go through the 10 games quickly with our score predictions. So if we start with, obviously, the first game, our game, Brentford against Arsenal. Melvin, what are you thinking?
Heart off, saying 2-0 we're going to get beat. Sorry.
Oh, going 2-0 to Brentford. Okay. Adam, what are you thinking?
I'm going to try and be a bit more positive and say 2-2.
2-2. Oh, okay, that'd be a good game. I went through these earlier. I've actually gone for a 1-1. I'll be quite happy with a 1-1 as well, or a 2-2, because I think it's going to be a tough game. If we get something out of it, I'll be quite happy. So let's hope that we're more never the mark than Melvin this week. Let's hope so. Right, the next game is Manchester United at home to Leeds, which is quite an interesting first game, isn't it? Obviously, both teams did well last season. What are you thinking about that, Melvin? Man United against Leeds?
I think Leeds 2-0.
You think Leeds will win 2-0? Wow.
The Pigeons. I do too many.
Yeah.
Interesting.
They got a decent result at Old Trafford last season as well, didn't they, Leeds, I think? Or did they not? I know they lost 6-2, didn't they, actually? So they didn't have they didn't get a good result there. 2-0 to Leeds. Okay, fair enough. That's an interesting one. What about you, Adam? What do you think about that one?
3-1 United. I think United will get off to a strong start.
Yeah.
I hope it is 2-0 Leeds.
Yeah, I do as well, yeah. But I'm kind of thinking with you, Adam. I think Man United will win. I've gone 2-0 to Manchester United. I just feel at home, first game of the season with crowd in. I just feel that there's going to be a lot of home wins actually probably this week because of the crowds and stuff like that. So that's what I'm going for there. We've lost Melvin briefly. Obviously, he's got a few internet issues where he is. Hopefully, he'll come back in a second. Anyway, the next game I've got is Leicester against Wolves, a Midlands derby, actually. Another interesting game to kick the season off. Leicester against Wolves. What are you thinking for that one, Adam?
2-0 Leicester.
2-0 Leicester. Of course, they had a good result in the Community Shield at the weekend, didn't they? So they'll be buzzing off that, I'm sure. And Melvin's back. Melvin's back in time for that. No problem. We were up to game 3, Leicester versus Wolves we're on. What are you saying for Leicester versus Wolves?
Leicester 2-0.
Oh, same as Adam. Leicester 2-0. Okay. I've actually gone 1-0 to Leicester because I just feel they've got maybe a few issues scoring goals a little bit, but I think they will shade that 1-0. The next game I've got on my list, they're not quite in any order actually, but anyway, is Chelsea against Crystal Palace. Chelsea obviously going to start favourites for that one. What are you thinking, Adam, for Chelsea against Crystal Palace?
See, I quite fancy Palace to be all right this year,
3-0.
But Chelsea at home, I think, will still win 2-1. 2-1 Chelsea.
2-1 Chelsea. Obviously, Patrick Vieira's first game is as manager as well, isn't it, in the Premier League for Crystal Palace? That'll be interesting. What are you thinking, Melvin? Chelsea Palace?
3-0. 3-0 for Chelsea. I think they're title contenders. Definite title contenders.
I agree with that.
No secret there.
Yeah. No, I think they are. I agree that they are. I think it's going to... I think it's going to be a tough game for them now. I kind of agree with Adam. I've gone 2-1 to Chelsea as well. I just feel as though Palace will be up for it. First game under Patrick Vieira. But I think Chelsea will have too much for them, and they'll probably just shade that one. The next one is newly promoted Watford at home to Aston Villa. Of course, Aston Villa lost Jack Grealish, so it'll be interesting to see how they cope without him. What are you thinking with that one, Adam? Watford against Aston Villa?
Villa 2-1. 2-1
Villa 2-1. Okay. Obviously, we hammered Watford in a friendly recently. They didn't look very good. I know they had a few different players in. What are you thinking, Melvin? Watford against Villa?
3-1 to Villa.
3-1 to Villa. Okay. I've actually gone 1-0 to Villa. I do think they'll miss Jack Grealish, certainly in an attacking sense, but I don't think Watford are going to do particularly well this season. So I think Villa will shade that one. It's an interesting game, actually. Everton at home to Southampton. Everton have obviously got Rafa Benitez in. They've had a poor pre-season, and Southampton they've lost Danny Ings. They've made a couple of signings as well. So what are we thinking with that one, Adam? Then Everton at home to Southampton.
1-1. 1-1 draw.
Yeah, okay. That seems a pretty sort of safe bet there. What about you, Melvin? What are you thinking? Everton, Southampton?
For the first time, I agree with Adam. 1-0.
1-0, okay. I've actually gone Southampton to win 2-1. I just feel Everton have had a really poor pre-season, and I don't know whether they can turn it around. I know Southampton struggled a bit at the second half of last season, but they're a decent team on their day, and I don't know. I just fancy Southampton might nick that 2-1, so we'll see. Now we've got a game that could be the game of the weekend. Burnley at home to Brighton. It sounds exciting, doesn't it? What do you think about that one, Adam?
I think Burnley might struggle this year,
I do.
even though they often get away with it. And I still quite like the way Brighton plays. So I'm going to go for an away win, but 1-0. Quite a dull 1-0 away win.
1-0 to Brighton. Okay. Melvin?
I'm going 1-0.
Going 1-0. Okay. I've actually predicted a 0-0. There's generally 1-0 on the opening day, and I think it's going to be that one. Just see two teams that don't score many goals generally. And I know, we've got Brighton's best defender as well, so they might let in a few, but I think it'd be 0-0 at this particular game. Another interesting one, Norwich at home to Liverpool. I think last time Norwich got promoted, they played Liverpool first game, didn't they? At Anfield, and
they did.
got hammered. Yeah. Now they're playing at home this time, which may be slightly different. They'll be buzzing from getting promoted, and Liverpool didn't have the greatest season, did they? So what are you thinking about that one, Adam?
I still think Liverpool will win. I think Norwich will be stronger than they were last time in the Premier League. I think the manager will probably be a bit more, clued up about how to approach games. But I still think Liverpool will get a win. 2-0. 2-0 Liverpool.
2-0 to Liverpool. Okay, Melvin, what are you thinking?
Put that an 2-0, funny enough. Liverpool win 2-0.
Well, we've got a full house because that's what I had already written down as well. 2-0 to Liverpool.
Hey,
so
we all agree.
We all agree on that one, so that could be interesting. Right, there's two more games left, which are on Sunday. There's Newcastle at home to West Ham. This could be quite an interesting game, actually. West Ham had a really good season, didn't they? They got the Europa League as well to contend with. Obviously, Newcastle don't spend a lot of money, but they finished last season well. They've got a few injuries. What are you thinking of that one, Adam?
I'm going to go for another scoring draw, 2-2. I think both teams can score, both teams can concede. So, 2-2.
Okay. Melvin, what are you thinking? Newcastle, West Ham?
I think Newcastle's going to pip them 2-1. I don't think West Ham will have such a good season. Obviously, I don't think they're going to have such a good season, West Ham. They overperformed last season. Can't see them doing it again. Yeah,
they did overperform, and they probably won't do it again. Although, of course, Newcastle did beat West Ham on the first game last season away. Right. So, but I've actually gone for 1-1. I just feel as though they're going to be quite evenly matched on the day, and I think it's going to finish in a draw. Both teams getting a point. And the final game, of course, the other big one that we kind of want to be concerned about is Tottenham at home to Manchester City, the champions. £100 million Jack Grealish in their team as well. Tottenham obviously probably won't have their strike Harry Kane, who may well have joined Man City by Sunday, but I'm not sure whether that will go through in time. But anyway, what are you thinking of that, Adam? Obviously, it's going to be 8-0 to Man City, I'm assuming.
I would love it, but I'll go 3-0 City.
3-0. Oh, okay. 3-0 is good start. City. Good start for Man City. What are you thinking, Melvin?
3-0 as well.
3-0 as well. It's not quite a full house because I've gone 2-0 City just because, I think the first game of the season they're going to start a little bit maybe more slowly, but they'll beat Tottenham. But 8-0 would be nice, wouldn't it? Let's hope they do turn it on.
It'd be lovely,
absolutely hammer them. But I've got a feeling it won't quite be like that. But anyway, it's interesting games actually there, isn't there, for the first opening week? Actually,
some really good fixtures.
There is. It's going to start. It's going to be quite a decent start. I think match of the day might be quite good this weekend. Well, obviously, assuming that we've got a result. Otherwise, I probably won't want to watch it because it's bad enough watching Arsenal lose once, let alone watching them lose 2 or 3 times with highlights and stuff. But none of us predicted Arsenal to win. Actually, I think it kind of shows where we are at the moment. Even even optimistic Adam couldn't predict a win. So, you know. And obviously the next 2 weeks are going to be even more tricky for us probably to predict a win. But you never know. If we end up getting a good result on Friday, everyone gets a lift, and you never know. You never know. So, but yeah, that's interesting scores. What I'm going to do, I'm going to keep a note of these all through the season. We'll give ourselves points and see who does the best over the season. That'd be quite good. So we'll see. We'll update it on Tuesday when obviously all the results are in for next week. So yeah, I mean, start of the season. Let's hope it's going to be maybe a better season for Arsenal than we are maybe assuming it's going to be. Let's hope we maybe surprise ourselves a little bit and we do better than we assume we're going to. But I think it's going to be a long, difficult season as things stand. But we'll see. Let's get Friday out of the way first. Give us a bit more of an idea of where we are. And the transfer window obviously still got a couple more weeks to go. So could still be movement in and out, hopefully, before the end of that. So Adam, then where can people find you? Thanks for coming on again, obviously. Where can people find you on social media?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter, Adam792001. Pleasure as always to come on. Really enjoyed that, and let's hope for more positivity next week.
Well, I think everything's going to be on Friday night, isn't it? Friday night's going to determine how positive we'll be next Tuesday. If we've played well and we've won, or even if we haven't played well but we've won, maybe we'll be a little bit more positive than we will if things go the other way. And Melvin, what about yourself? Where can people find you?
On social media, you can find me on Melvin. The only way is Arsenal Marks on Twitter. That's where I am on social media. And thanks again for having me on. I really enjoy this programme. The whole idea of it is great.
No, it's always a pleasure to have you on.
Let's keep our fingers crossed for Friday night.
Yeah, let's hope we do slightly better than your prediction, Melvin. Anyway, that'll be good. Let's hope so. And also, as well, obviously, give our best to Jerome as well for tomorrow. His big day.
Thank you very much.
We'll be thinking of you all tomorrow. Hopefully, all that goes well. I'm sure it will. Emerson's in the chat there. He says, "Where's the beard gone?" Yeah, I got rid of it today. I got bored, so I thought I'd get rid of it. It'll grow back again. It's a new season, so a nice fresh trim, for the new season. That's what it is. Hopefully, it's going to bring us a change of fortunes, maybe. But we'll see. If what I'll do is I won't shave again until we lose. So that might not last very long, mightn't it? If Melvin's right on that Friday. Yeah, maybe on Saturday morning. Yeah, that'll be it. Hopefully, by the end of the season, it might be another invincible season. I'll be like Father Christmas or something. All right.
I'll take that. Yeah,
or ZZ Top, maybe. ZZ Top it'll be by the end of the season. And Russ in the chat there says, all the best to Jerome. Yeah, indeed. All the best to Jerome tomorrow. So we'll be thinking of you all. I'm sure that'll all go well. So yeah, thanks obviously to Adam and to Melvin for joining me tonight. It's been a good fun show. Thanks to you guys in the chat as well, Ryan and Mark earlier. Obviously Dan from Turf Morehouse TV. No doubt we'll speak soon. Dave as well from Out and Out Gunners podcast, of course, Russ. And Emerson, of course, there, who likes my little shave that I've had, which is pretty cool. So don't forget, there's loads of stuff coming up on the channel. If you haven't done so, please subscribe. Please like this video if you've enjoyed it. And also, as well, coming up, I've got a Brentford preview, which will be going out tomorrow. That's just previewing the game. And I may well be doing another live show, maybe Thursday night, with maybe if I can get a Brentford fan. If anyone out there knows a Brentford fan who might want to come on, please get in touch. I may be able to get Isaiah Rankin on as well, because of course he played for Arsenal and Brentford. And I say if we can get a Brentford fan out there. So if you know anyone, please send them my way if they want to come on, preview that game. I'll be doing my own preview as well. And of course on Friday I will be doing a watch along as well for the new season. Let's hope that the watch alongs go well, the team play well, and everyone's happy. But at the moment, I'm sitting on the fence a little bit, and let's hope that things go a bit better. But thanks for all you guys for watching, and stay tuned to the channel. Please like, share, and subscribe. And of course, as we head towards the first game of the season already, wow, a new season 2021-2022 is about to start, and it's all starting on Friday. So loads coming up on the channel. Stay tuned. Thanks to Adam and Melvin as usual. And in the meantime, of course, as always, come on, you Gunners, come on. Let's start with 3 points, eh? Let's start as we mean to go on. Come on, we can do it. We can do it. Come on.